Hi, I'm Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Now today my passion peep is the one and only Mr. John Assaraf. Now John is a millionaire and his passion is helping entrepreneurs understand how to incorporate the psychological and strategic sides of building a dream life. Now specifically, he's delved deeply into brain research and quantum physics as they both relate to achieving success in business and in life. Now he's one of the stars of The Secret, and you'll remember him because he was the guy that had his dream home on that vision board. Plus John's also appeared on shows like Larry King Live, Ellen, Anderson Cooper 360 and many more. Now John is so generous and accommodating that this video is probably the most information-packed Passion Peep video I've recorded so far. So no more delay, enjoy. Well, thank you and for joining us on the show, John.
It's great to be here with you.
Excellent. Now, as you know, with our Passion Peeps videos, we ask everyone the same 5 questions. Now, the first question, obviously the reason that you're here in the Passion Peeps section is because you don't just live a life of passion, but you inspire a lot of other people to do the same. So I'm assuming that you had a pretty rocky road to get here. And can you tell us a little bit about your story and some of the things that you overcome to get to where you are today?
Sure, and I imagine that it's easier if I talk with all of you. The first years of my life were just like any other kid, normal family. But when I was in my early teens, 13 to 17, 18, I got into a lot of trouble with the law, did a lot of illegal things, and I thought that that was the way I was going to be successful. And I knew that it wasn't going to be an easy road, and fortunately for me, when I was 19, I had a really good turning point where we almost got into a whole lot of trouble with the law. And I realized at that moment that if I was going to continue on that path that I was on, I'd either be going to jail or I'd die, one of the two. And that really wasn't a good option for me. I had a wake-up call. Finally, somebody inside my head hit it hard and said, stop. And I stopped doing what I was doing. And I then found a mentor. And I found somebody who had better answers than I had. But more importantly, this individual, Alan Brown, actually had better questions than I had. He asked me better questions, and 2 of the questions he asked me was, number 1, he said, what do you want to trade your life for? And then number 2, he asked me, am I interested or am I committed in that response, trading my life for becoming a millionaire and living a great lifestyle? And he told me if I was interested, I would do what's convenient, but if I was committed, I would do whatever it takes. And I'd already been doing whatever it takes illegally, and willing to risk my life and willing to risk, my sanity. And so hard work wasn't a problem. So he said, you don't just have to work hard, just work smart, but trade your life for what you love. And that was really the turning point for me.
Right. Because, often I find it's like, fine threads or specific events that get us from, where we were, where we're sort of struggling, to living a life of passion and living a life that's really successful. So were there any specific events that happened for you that kind of was a turning point for you?
There really wasn't. There really wasn't, a defining, moment that I said, this is it. When I was 19, I was just searching for my way. What am I going to do with my life? I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have any skills. I didn't have any, and the only thing I was passionate about at 19 were sports and girls. And I read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. It says you become what you think about most, and I thought I was going to become a woman. That's what I thought about most when I was 17, 18, 19.
Well, that's a pretty regular, normal thought for 19-year-olds.
But at 19, when I read the book, I couldn't think of it. I wasn't thinking about anything else. The only glimpse of success in the lifestyle that I wanted came from me watching lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Right.
And that I used to watch, and I used to pretend in my own mind that one day that's going to be me. But it wasn't a defining moment. For me, the defining moment was very, very gradual.
Yep.
And really discovering that I did have skills. I did have things that were natural and easy for me that weren't natural and easy for other people. So when I was 19, 20, and I started selling real estate, I got asked to speak and teach people what I was doing. And that was easy for me. And I didn't know that speaking in front of people or into a camera, most people get petrified and scared. And I was like, I'm not scared. That doesn't bother me. So I realized, oh, that's a skill I guess I must have.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of any training I had. It wasn't because my father was good at it or my mother was good at it. I don't know why genetically that was easy for me.
Yep.
And I didn't know that, 30 years later, I'd be teaching people all over the world, and I'd be on stages and on television, on Larry King Live and major shows. I had no idea, but that's natural for me.
Yeah, but that's the way it always happens.
Right.
Like, we initially with my movies, before that was even an idea for us, we were introduced to a network marketing business. And when we wrote out all our affirmations about that network marketing business, we talked about traveling the world and, helping people over the world, everywhere, and, having a product that we felt good about, and, and all of the affirmations that we had about that business, we're thinking that would be the vehicle that would get us there, actually ended up being my movies. But it's like but the thing is, if we hadn't been exposed to that business model, we wouldn't have understood what recurring income was and leverage, and we didn't know what that was, It kind of opens our mind to different ways of doing business.
Well, what's interesting is I learned 30 years ago, I said, imagine if you get into a car right now and it's pitch black outside and all you could see is as far as the headlights will allow you to see. Mm. Well, if you get in the car and you start driving to the end of the light of the headlights, then you are able to see, let's say, 300 or 400 or 500 yards more. And that's really more of what my life was like, is I had no idea of how to do anything. I mean, I didn't know selling. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know networking. I didn't know finance. I had no idea about any of it.
Yep.
But I learned along the way. And what did, if I was to say a defining moment, for my life, is somebody, Alan, my mentor, says, write down your goals. Write it down.
Yep.
And he says, and dream, and just take it out of your head and write it down so there's a bullseye and a target for you to hit. And I said, sure. I mean, I've played sports before. We had, goals of winning championships, and we had goals of winning games. We had goals. So I was, okay, I understand this goal, setting stuff. But I also understood, from being in sports when I was a kid, that not only did you have to set the goal, but every coach that I had a strategy of how we were going to achieve that goal. So in the mornings we would run. In the afternoons or evenings we would do drills and practice the skills that we needed so that when it was time to play, we were rehearsed, we were practiced, we were playing as opposed to practicing during playtime.
Yep.
And so I really developed some good skills of practicing a lot. And I wasn't into music. I was very into chess.
Right.
I liked chess, and I knew that you had to play checkers or chess. I was never into the games that my kids are addicted to now.
Yeah.
Right. But guess what? You get better with practice. And so I knew the value of practice, and what I found is most people don't want to practice. And I still practice today. Before I go on stage, I practice. Before I'm on a television show, I practice. I understand that.
Yeah.
So if I was to have a defining moment, is to set my goals in writing and take the time to pick my bullseyes.
Yeah, because that kind of leads into my next question, because as we know, success doesn't just happen. And every successful person that I know has a certain daily routine or certain daily habits that actually help to keep them on track. So what are some of your habits that you do on a daily basis?
I've got a pretty set routine. So, I wake up. I don't use an alarm clock. I wake up when I'm not tired anymore. First thing I do is I do my gratitude exercise, and I just ask me, what am I grateful for with my wife, my children, God, my health, my businesses, my contribution to different areas of my life. And that puts a big smile on my face because I start off the day positive every day and just look for one or two things. And then I review my vision, my goals for what is it that I want to achieve in my health, in my wealth, in my relationships, in my philanthropy work, and the work that we do. And I visualize the outcomes and how that makes me feel. And then I do a meditation for anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. And most of the meditations I do are around just managing my own brain waves and managing no thought. Just allowing me to connect to this universal intelligence.
Yep.
And then I get up and I usually will work out. And I exercise and just get oxygen to my brain, work out with my trainer. And then by around 8:30, I'm meeting with my executive assistant. And we're planning our day. What are our top 3 things that we want to accomplish today? What are the projects that we're working on? Who are the people that we need to speak to? And she makes sure that I do what I'm supposed to do, and sometimes I make sure she does what she's supposed to do. So she manages me more than anything else. And so we get on our routine, and then we look at our calendar and get the things that are on the calendar done. So we have pre-planned what we do.
Right.
So we don't wait, so what are we going to do today? We've pre-planned what we're going to do for the week, for the month, for the quarter, for the year. So we actually have a strategy that is movable, but we at least have a direction and a course of what we're working on, what's the highest, most important things for us to be doing every day.
Yeah. You know, it's very interesting. I have done many of these interviews, with our friends Bob Proctor and Bob Doyle and Marcy Shimoff and Sean Stevenson and like many, many different people. And every time I ask that question, I either get one or all of those things. You actually listed all of them, but it's always a combination, either one or a combination of those 5 things that every single successful person that I've spoken to does, and which I do as well. So.
If you think about, if you spoke to a chef around the world, any chef around the world, and you ask them, how do you prepare, okay, for doing what you do? You'd probably find the same recipe or prepared recipe amongst all chefs, because there's the fundamentals that work. And you either know that they work because you've done them yourselves, or other people who are really successful in achieving what you want to achieve are doing them.
Yep.
And one of the things that I learned doing my illegal activities when I was 13 to 17 was to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. And when I got into business and the world of results, okay, true, honest results, I also found that people had recipes. People who were experienced, they already had the blueprint. And so if I really wanted to get from point A to point B faster, why not buy their blueprint?
Yep.
Why not learn their blueprint and implement the blueprint? And that's like buying a recipe from a book or on Google and just following the recipe.
Yes.
The result is predictable most of the time. What I've found is a lot of people just try to reinvent the wheel. And they just try to figure it out themselves. And I go in an era where knowledge is not power.
Right.
Why do you care whether it's your idea or somebody else has already got the idea and the blueprint? You can just implement that.
Exactly.
Because information is free now.
Yep.
Right?
We're talking about 5 basic habits, like that is very easy to implement into every day. And it's a recipe for success. So, which I've accidentally stumbled upon.
Yep, that's okay. At least you stumbled upon it.
Exactly. Now, the next question I have is for people that are watching the video today that find themselves in a really negative, find themselves hard to be positive when everything around them is negative. Like, for example, if they find it hard to visualize abundance, well, they don't have enough money to pay the bills. So what type of advice do you have for people like that?
Well, first and foremost, I want you to imagine that you're sitting in a theater and that you're watching a movie in a theater. Well, guess what? If you don't like what you're seeing in or on the screen, you don't go up to the screen and tear the screen apart. You go and change what's being projected on the either DVD or from the projector. And so if you don't like what you're seeing, okay, in the results in your life, you've got to understand it's what's happening in here that's causing you to see that and experience that. And so if you don't like the results, don't blame the results. That would be like if I had a mustache and I looked at myself in the mirror and I tried to scratch the mustache off in the mirror. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It would make a lot more sense to go and shave the mustache. And so if you allow the outside circumstances to control your thinking, you're going to recreate more of those circumstances, as opposed to saying, what do I need to shift within me so that the outside stuff that I see, that I attract, that I participate in, changes.
Yep.
And that can happen in a second. We don't see what there is to see. We only see what we are conditioned to see. We don't achieve what we are capable of achieving. We only achieve what we are conditioned to think about and do.
Yep.
And so if we change our thoughts immediately, and you could do that right this second, and we say, okay, I'm going to do something differently right now. See, if you're a little short of cash right now, that's because of something that's happened or not happened, something that you've thought about or not thought about in the past. But you can make a decision right this second. Okay, what have I got here in my home that I can sell on eBay? What skill do I have that I could help somebody with that will exchange money with me? What can I help a friend with that needs help right now where I can make some money? If you focus all of your time right now, not tomorrow, now, on how can I earn an extra $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000, and you put all of your energy and all of your effort on answering that and then doing it, you won't have a financial problem.
Yep, exactly.
Period. Period.
Great answer. Now I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And it may be hard to narrow this down to one thing, but if you could give people watching the video today one piece of advice, something they can implement today to facilitate a positive change in their life, what would that one thing be?
That's easy.
Yeah.
It's not hard. The one thing. What are 3 things that you can do right now to get from where you are to where you want to be? And so if you think of any goal that you have, whether it's your health goal, financial goal, business goal, what are the 3 things that if you did them today would move you closer to that goal? And if you did 3 things a day before 11 a.m., 3 things, that's over 1,000 actions towards your goal. So you're looking for 3 things that are either high income producing or 3 things that are really high impact. It'll have a huge impact on the result that you want to achieve. So if you want to make it simple, if I want to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds, I can go and walk right now for 30 minutes. Just simple as that. I could not eat 20% of the calories that I was going to eat today, right now. I can make that decision. If I want to make more money, I can start thinking about 1 or 2 or 3 things that I could do right now. Not think about, do. You get into the law of 3 and you will have massive success in your life.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, as usual, you're a fountain of information.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us again today.